guys, History Nerd here with a new video series, possibly. We'll see. I've been looking around on the old YouTubes, and there doesn't look to be like there's too much going on with this little game known as The Few. Sorry, I'm just gonna turn my headset down so I'm not speaking too loudly. Yeah, so basically it is a World War II strategy game about the Battle of Britain. So let's go ahead, load up play, so we can blast Jerry's out of the sky. Yeah, I set up a little thing just to test audio and stuff like that, but we'll go with a new player. We will name him, I don't know yet. Let's get a good picture. So we need to find ourselves a good RAF pilot. That's looking pretty RAF-y. You got the cap, you got the fancy mustache, and this person here should be called, I don't know. Wish I had a good repertoire of British names. We'll call him, Willie. There we go. Alright, so once you're done picking your pilot and your name, I guess I should address what is actually on the screen. Background of the game, 1940. It's just the very, very start of the Battle of Britain. The game lasts 50 days, and at the end of 50 days, you either win or you lose, depending. So let's go ahead and take a look at the map screen here. So we've got a little tutorial down here. I'm not actually going to follow his orders to the letter, because I've already played through this game a little bit. And we'll just go, nope, and thank you. So if I need any help at all, it's there. So yeah, thankfully the game starts off paused. It's spacebar to unpause, spacebar to pause, and you can fast forward it as well. So here's your map. You can zoom in if you want. You can zoom all the way out. So this is the extent of the region that it covers. A little bit of France and most of the UK. So, we can see here that's how much in thousands of pounds we're making a day, our shoot-down ratio, the intensity of enemy attacks, how many bombs have actually hit London, or not London, sorry, Britain, and your production efficiency. So how healthy your factories are, and if they've taken much bomb damage, yada yada yada. Moving on to the inventory, you can see in our national inventory we have 1 factory and 2 airfields. So what you want to do, the first thing, I mean in this case, with the game paused, it doesn't matter what order you do things in obviously, but you're going to want to get your factory down and in the north. So the Luftwaffe has much longer to take and hit you. In the factory you can build Spitfires, you can build single Spitfires or squadrons of 8. You can build Hurricanes, again, single or squadrons of 8. You can build an airfield, which allows you to station 1 squadron. You can build an airbase, which allows you to station 3. You've got radar, which have a certain range. I'll get more into the radar and the anti-aircraft once I drop them down, but the radar has a range. It'll flash red if enemy planes are in their area. The same kind of thing with the anti-aircraft, except instead of flashing red when planes go into their area, they get shot. And you can build another factory. So that's basically production in a nutshell. Then we can plop down 2 air bases. So we'll go ahead and put 1 air base there to cover this section, and another airbase over here. So you don't want to put them too close to the coast. Obviously your squadrons can get bombed, and that's not necessarily a good thing. If you've got planes, or if you've got a squadron stationed at the airbase, while it's getting bombed, your pilots don't have a chance to fight back, and you can lose the planes and the pilot stationed there. Your pilots gain experience, all this other stuff, so you don't really want to just be throwing away pilots' lives while they're sitting on the runway. Anyway, let's go ahead now that we've got our 2 airfields in place and set up some squadrons. So we've got the 302nd Squadron based in Northolt there, so we'll click on the little target thing, takes you right to them, and we'll just zoom back out. And then this arrow thing takes you to Squadron Management. So you can see the 302nd is a member of the Polish Air Force. It's not just the RAF. You've got Canadians, New Zealanders, Australians, Poles, Czechs, everything. Everybody who fought for the Brits during the Battle of Britain, they're all represented. So yeah. So that's a nice little feature. It's not just all the RAF. Everybody gets their little bit of attention. So we will also go and just set up another squadron here so we can see we've got the RAF, a British squadron, nothing too unique or special about them. So let's go ahead and start adding pilots. So we can either recruit fresh pilots or we can send in reservists. Now reservists, as you can see here, are already trained pilots. So you throw them in a squadron, they know how to fly, you don't need to teach them how to do anything. They know what's going on. So for this squadron, we're going to add 2 reservists. And in the 302nd, we're also going to add 2 reservists. So there we go. Now the rest we can just fill up with raw recruits. And you can see the more raw recruits you have, the longer it's going to take to train them. Now, you can't just train them without having anything to fly, so let's go ahead and outfit these guys with aircraft. We're going to give the RAF the Spitfires. Come on. And we are going to give, well, the RAF, the British, and we are going to give the Polish the Hurricanes. So, with that set up, we can now take a look, and the blue means they're all set, ready to go. Green means they're training. Yellow and red mean other things, and black mean they're dead. And then we've got defense intelligence. So here are all the planes that the Luftwaffe is going to throw at you, and a nice little info screen about them. So we can see here talking about the Messerschmitt, turn radius, speed, gun range, how much ammo they carry, and their defensive values. So there we go. Messerschmitts, and obviously they're for all the planes here that you're going to be facing. And so let's go ahead, unpause the game, and let our squadrons slowly train up. Now, I was kind of messing around, creating a few profiles, and at one point this game did have an auto-updater. It would update it to the current release, which I believe is 0.97. I am running on the 0.962 version, because that's the version I downloaded, and when I reinstalled it to clear out all of the other pilots that I had created, for whatever reason, I'm not sure, the game didn't auto-update. The developers, Blackmoon Devs, are a new company. I think they had a couple of other games out, but this is their first real push into PC gaming. So they're just a small little dev company. I'm sure everything will work itself out, and yeah, I'm honestly not that concerned about it. But yeah. So obviously, looking at this game right now, you're thinking, history nerd, you're an idiot. This is not even a game. You put down a couple airfields. It's been an hour and 15 minutes, and nobody's come by. Ha! I say. What that time has done, though, as you can see, we have 150,000 British pounds available. So let's go to our production and see what we want to buy. Now, there's a couple of different strategies you can use at the start. Obviously, you're going to be needing planes, because planes are going to get shot down. You need airfields, because you need to station the planes somewhere. But the first thing I'm going to do is throw up a radar. because those are really, 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 really helpful. And then I can start talking about radar once it's up. Slowly building away. In fact, let's just speed up time. Perfect. Alright, so our radar is finished. It only took about an hour to build. Fairly sure that's not realistic, but you know what? That's fine. So what you want to do is set your radar stations up. You can see the ring here, right? I hope. Little ring there. I pointed at it on my screen, but I doubt you saw my fingers. Excuse me. So that's the radius of the radar installation. So any enemy... Here, let's see if I can... There we go. Any enemy unit that flies into that circle, this thing is going to start flashing red. It doesn't show direction or anything like that. You gotta remember, this is 1940s radar. But it will show you that, hey, the Germans are coming. So we want to set it up in a place that's going to be useful. I think there. Usually the Germans come right across. They don't typically fly over Calais until you set up things that'll start blocking them. Things like AA guns. The AI is really good at avoiding those. So, just something to keep in mind. Okay. Oh, the Germans are really, really giving it to us easy this time. Let's go ahead and scramble. So, I'll go back. This little button here, the scramble button, that tells your squadron, hey, you guys should get in the air. Once they're in the air, you can just handy-dandy click on them, and then draw out a path. And the squadron will fly along that path. Oh, and look at that. It's a good thing we scrambled. We've got some Germans incoming, so we'll position the 611th, not the 611th, into position, and you can see we've got a contact of 2 BF-109s. We've got 8 Spitfires. I think we're going to be able to win this. Now, you can auto-resolve. Auto-resolve has the typical things with auto-resolve in that you usually wind up taking more losses. So we're going to fight this one out. Plus, this way, I can show you guys the battle map. So here we are, over the farmlands of Britain. And to move around the map, just hold down on your left mouse button and jiggle it around, and there you go. Just jiggle it around. So what you can do here is set up different formations that you might want your flight in. Right now they're in this sort of formation. I'm not sure what it's called. Being a fan of history, you'd think I'd know, but I don't. Sorry. If you do know, let me know. But you can change it up. So let's say you wanted a Brassy Pid here. That's a name. See, that's what I was looking for. And let's say you want him to attach to that guy instead. Well, you just draw a path, have the path end at the plane that you want, and he'll be attached to that plane instead of that. So he'll be that plane's wingman instead of that one. But we'll keep it the way it is. So we can see we've got our 2 Messerschmitts there. They're nicely spread out. That will make killing them easier. Now what I can do is just tell these guys to charge headlong into the fight and, you know, just fight it out. Most of these pilots, aside from Granville Dalton and Bagshaw Tidman, are all rookies. So they're not going to know much about fighting Messerschmitts. So what we're going to want to do is sort of intervene as the player and give them some tactics. So the first thing I'm going to do is break up the flights.
Yes, sir.
We got a little bit of voice acting in there. And if you've got, I'll show with the Polish squadron.
Jerry's 12 o'clock.
Speak Polish. So that's kind of cool. Instead of having Polish people speaking British slang, and with British accents, they're actually speaking Polish. Same with the Czechs. Unfortunately,
Jerry's! At 12 o'clock!
The Canadians do sound like they're British. But, you know, it's just a minor gripe. So what we've got here, what I'm trying to do is keep one flight of planes free while the other engages. So we can see now these guys are going to be getting into a turning fight with that Messerschmitt. What I want to do with the other flight is send them in and give that Messerschmitt something else to think about while they're in a turning contest. And I have a feeling that guy is going to wind up doing the same. Yes. So let's go ahead, grab him, and actually we can just tell the rest of the flight.
Roger that, sir.
All 8 Spitfires, just get on that one.
I'm hit!
Smith.
I'm hit! Got one!
And there we go. Now, your planes do take damage, your pilots do take damage. In this case, it's not that much of a worry. I had a feeling, you know, nobody was going to die in this. As your planes do take damage, you do have a chance to bail the pilots out so they don't die. That becomes kind of important once you've got trained up pilots who know what they're doing, as opposed to just raw recruit rookies. But in this case, we don't need to worry about bailing out. Everybody's fine. So afterwards you can see the experience gained by people. Lang Haywood there, he must have got a kill. He got a lot of experience. And Granville Dalton got a little bit. So with that flight done, we can keep these guys out, but instead I'll just send them back to Brockworth there. And they'll land and repair and do the things they need to do. So we can see the radar station just pinged a warning. Let's get the 302nd up and out. Now again, like I said, it's just a flight has entered this radius. I don't know where. I don't know if it's coming from France. I don't know if it's coming this direction. I just know somewhere in the vicinity of this radar station, there's going to be some Germans. And you can see I missed the landing, so we'll just get them going back, and we'll get these Hurricanes in on an intercept course. Or maybe a better intercept course. There we go. And we've got 3 Stukas, so we can intercept, and again, 8 Hurricanes should be able to take care of 3 Stukas, no problem. So let's go ahead, we'll fight this one out. Those were Stukas, right? Yes. Models just looked a little big, especially compared to the Hurricanes, but, you know, I've never seen Hurricanes and Stukas in real life, so maybe that sizing is accurate. Who am I to judge? So what we're going to do is we're going to want to do the same sort of thing. I'm going to take this flight, send them that way, and take that flight down and around. Actually, that was really more down and around. That was really more that way. Whatevs. Y'all know what I'm talking about. So we're kind of making a little bit of a distraction for those Stukas, and you can see they're well aware of the fact that there are fighters incoming. Alright. Get them in. And we'll get these flights out to engage. Actually, what I could do is... So you can see there, Olowinski here was speaking Polish and not English. So I think that's pretty cool.
Mam jednego. Bombowce na 8.
Hello there, got one!
And, I think Price, Aslan, and Taverham here are actually Brits. So that explains that. So we took down, we've got 2 Stukas down, there's 1 left. We'll bring these guys in and around.
Jeden szkop do piachu.
Here we go! Mission accomplished. Victory for the RAF. We can see more experience being spent, or being earned and generated around. And we'll send the 302nd back home. They've earned a rest. So... Oh, we'll hit the pause button here. We'll just hold on, Luftwaffe. So we'll take a look. at our RAF performance rating, we can see we're sitting at a very cushy 95%. None of our buildings have been damaged, thankfully. Our shoot-down rate, no RAF planes to 1 Luftwaffe plane. Seems to me like that should be higher, but I'm not talking about statistics because I don't understand statistics at all. The enemy attack intensity is still pretty low, and we can see of the 6 possible bombs that could have been dropped on England, none of them have been dropped. And apologies if you heard that rumbling engine in the background. It was not intentional, that's for sure. And if you haven't, I just sound like a crazy person. But, you know, whatever. How's the 611th? They're looking okay, we'll send them up. We got mostly blue, some are in green, but that's fine. Come along. Well, that's a horrible flight plan. Now we want to kind of... Oops. We need to pause it. I should have just waited for the 302nd, obviously. A couple more Stukas we will intercept. And so at this stage of the game, it's fairly easy for, that's way too, there we go. It's fairly easy to take on what the Luftwaffe are throwing at you. Quite quickly, and I hope I can show it to you guys in this video, it gets way more intense. Alright, so we've got our Spitfires coming in. I'm going to want them to go that way. I'm going to want them to go that way. We'll take those guys up there, and we'll keep those guys in support. In case one of these Stukas get away or something. Now, different bombers will have different armaments. These Stukas obviously have turrets.
Hello there, got one!
Alright. So that's 2. We'll take that flight that way, that flight that way. And so, as you're approaching them on the rear, you can and will, and in fact do, take damage. As you can see here, Sheep Kesley, who's there, has taken quite a large amount of damage. Now, not enough to bail out, but certainly enough for me to say you don't need to fight anymore. You gotta get back and repair. So go ahead, go back to the map, and get the experience up. At least good old Sheep there got himself some XP out of that mission, and we'll send him home. We can see also that our bank account is growing steadily. So let's check our production out, and we are going to throw down on... I'd like to get another airfield down, but I don't have any planes to put in it. So now we reach the absolute ultimate dilemma of any RAF or Battle of Britain game. Do you build Spitfires or do you build Hurricanes? And you can see the Spitfire is almost double the price the Hurricane is. So I can get, theoretically, 2 squadrons of Hurricanes up for every 1 squadron of Spitfires. The difference being, of course, the Spitfires are better dogfighters. And that's something that later on becomes a bit of an issue, because you don't just get flights of Messerschmitts or Stukas or bombers. You'll get flights of all 3. So if you send Hurricanes up against Messerschmitts, specifically, I should clarify, the ME-109, chances are you're going to get shot to pieces. However, the Hurricanes can carry more ammunition and take a few more hits, so they're much better at taking out the bombers. Whereas the Spitfires, they're lighter, they're more maneuverable, but they carry less ammo, and they're not able to take as much damage. So it's a balancing act, and it's knowing when to throw them in, when not to throw them in. Stuff like that. Regardless, what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a squadron of each up, And you can queue them. So obviously I've got enough in the bank to pay for the Hurricanes, and by the time the Spitfires pop up, I should be able to pay for them as well. If not, then that unit will just sit in the queue until you have enough money, and then you'll start production on it as soon as you hit the money you need for it. So it's handy to queue things up, obviously, but you want to also be cognizant of it because you're going to be reacting to things that happen throughout the course of the war. And, you know, you can lose a squadron of fighters fairly quickly. That becomes a fairly expensive thing to have to replace. So we've got our backup planes all set. So we can go ahead and put an order in for another airfield. And we can see we've got a flight coming in, so let's get the 302nd up to go check things out. Oh, and we got another flight that completely avoided the radar. It completely avoided the radar completely. Redundancy for the win. But thankfully we can still see them. And if we had sat there and done nothing, those Stukas could have done some serious damage to the airfield. Thankfully, I was on my toes, and they won't. So we'll do the same thing. Get in close to see what the Stukas are going to do. And depending on what they do, we can figure out how we're going to split up our planes. I mean, really, it looks like they're not going to do anything. Oh, here we go. Okay. So, we'll go and we'll send that guy there, that guy on that one, that guy on that one. And we can just send him kind of up that way. Too much of a turn.
Got one! Got one!
There we go. Clean sweep. And everybody can make it back home for tea. Oh, young Lieutenant Stubbs there did quite a good show against those Stukas. Come on, back to base. There we go. Where are you at, Luftwaffe? I know you're here somewhere. There they are. Always the opposite direction I turned. Come along, lads. Alright. So here's our first intercept of some Henkel HE-111s. These are full-on big ol' bombers. So thankfully we've got the Hurricanes up against them. But these are going to require different tactics. These things take a lot more bullets to go down, and they've got a lot more in the way of turret protection. So you've got to really be careful with your fighter management. We're going to swing those guys out, and those guys can just keep going. Now I don't want to get the fighters too close to the sides, because they've got good turret coverage. Come on, guys, let's go. Alright, let's break off an attack here. So, we'll send that flight and that flight like so. In fact, we can speed this up a little bit. Slow it down. So there are our boys unloading. And if this plane doesn't go down,
Jeden skop do piachu!
we're going to want to pull those guys out and around. That seems a bit aggressive. We can just go like that. Basically, I don't want these Hurricanes to fly into the range of the turrets of those two planes. So we'll get them to bug out of the flight.
Oby tak dalej.
And same with those guys.
Yes, sir.
Get them out of the way and let the other squadron, or the other wing, take on those two. Now, these bombers, you can see this guy here maneuvering into position to get a firing arc. Their forward-facing machine guns are devastating. So we're going to want to try and keep those Hurricanes as far away from that fire as possible. That is, no, we want to go up and down. There we go. And in fact, we should break those guys off. Oh, shoot. Okay,
Zrozumiałem.
those guys off too.
Oby tak dalej.
Alright, so now we're just down to one last bomber. Let's let the debris clear so I can find my wing leaders here. And at this stage, we should be safe just to... Oh. Come on, lads. Get in there. We should just be safe to let this, this flight fly out. We've got 6 Hurricanes incoming. That should be enough to take down a bomber.
Oby tak dalej.
No losses, obviously damage, but this is war. You're not going to make it out clean all the time. And look at Conrad there. So much experience points. He's an ace. Well, not an ace, but he's a star pilot now. Olowinski is a star pilot. That means that they're better pilots now, because stars are always better. Whoop, come along. There we go. Unless we're, you know, in the topic of Poland, speaking of the Red Star. Probably in bad taste. But hey, it's me. That should be expected by now. Alright. So we've got another fast-moving squadron coming in. Because of its speed, I'm willing to bet it's a fighter. And it doesn't have much of an interest in bombing anything. So who knows, maybe the AI is just probing. We are coming up tonight, which is prime bombing season. So let's hopefully get the intercept in, and there are 3 Messerschmitts. So let's go ahead and intercept these guys. I'll fight this one out. Alright, now thankfully these guys are nicely spread out. So hopefully we'll be able to pick one off.
Jerry's! At 12 o'clock!
Okay, so that was kind of what I was afraid of, is getting into a turning fight. Like that.
Jerry's! 1 o'clock!
So, what we can do is take that plane, take him onto that. Now, that's still a full squadron, is it? So we can take him and sign him up there. And then these two guys...
Roger that, sir!
We're going to have to be nice and careful of that guy there. So we'll just bring him back around that way.
Got one!
That's 1 down. That should be 2, and let's bring those guys back.
I'm hit!
Not quite yet, eh? Alright. Pull those guys around. We'll get those guys on him, and those guys on him. And hopefully he is focusing on one of those damaged Spitfires.
I'm hit!
Now the unfortunate thing is I don't have any reinforcements, so we'll just have to break off that flight.
I'm hit!
And he's going after him, so we can pull him around. Get those guys in.
I'm on fire!
Okay, so it's a good thing I hit pause when I did. We can see Dunning Stubbs' plane is non-existent. He's basically sitting in a chair that's flying through the sky. So we're going to get him to bail
I'm
out.
bailing out!
So we're down a Spitfire, but we're not down a pilot. And the last thing you want to do is lose your pilots, especially once they've trained. If Mr. Stubbs here hasn't got much experience, it's not that big of a loss, as cold-hearted as that sounds. But if we're talking about a 2 or 3 or 4-star pilot, you don't want to lose them.
Jerry's 12 o'clock! Got one!
And there we have it. You see, he picked up experience on that flight too, so it's a doubly good thing that he didn't die. So we'll send him back to base. And once the 611th get back there, we can go in. We can see he's actually still returning to base, so obviously it takes more time if you bail out to make it back to base than it does if you're flying, let's say. And now that he's back, we can go ahead, give him a replacement Spitfire, and then make sure we put 1 on order so we've always got 8. I like having a full squadron of each in reserve, just in case you need it. And I think that is going to be a good place to leave the video. So we'll go back to the main menu. It'll autosave as you leave, which is always appreciated. And there you have it. There's the few. There aren't a lot of aerial combat strategic games, so it's nice to see a new one come along. There's always 1 or 2 kicking around somewhere, but there hasn't been one for a while. I was super stoked when I saw this, and yeah, I just figured, you know, if you're watching my channel, you probably have at least a vague interest in some sort of history, and at least a vague interest in some sort of strategy game. So here you go. If you want to check it out, you can go to the Blackmoon Dev website. I'll leave a post in the link below, and yeah, check it out. It's very cheap. It's $7.99. You can also get it on Gamersgate and a few other locations. I'm not exactly sure. I bought the game direct from the devs. I got into it before it was released on Gamersgate, but it's out on Gamersgate. They've got a Steam Greenlight page. And for an alpha, oh look at that, this is 9.97. I stand corrected, the auto updater works just fine, Blackmoon Devs. The guy recording the video is an idiot. But yeah, so check it out, cheap game, fun game, and yeah, thumbs up if you've enjoyed this. Leave your comments, questions, concerns, thoughts, jokes, musings, what have you below. If you really like this and want to see a series, let me know, and we can throw some together, pretty simply, I imagine. Thank you all very much for watching, and we'll see you next time.